smarter ways of working in the world, with the new money coming yesterday, the $240 billion, was it, that has been announced yesterday? It was, $195 billion announced yesterday as far as the defence budget is concerned, and how that may well, a sizable proportion of that money should be spent on smarter industries. It's not necessarily about welding holes together. It's about software and thinking in this new technology way. We know also that it'd be nice to have a few other strings to our bow when it comes to the mining industry, if we don't want to have all our eggs in the one basket. And so I think you'll find it's pretty interesting that we have a local firm here called Fortel that is now tracking trains and buses. Well, they've been tracking trains for quite a while, and their information has been used internally, but now they're feeding it into your smartphones. And if you've ever been standing around waiting at a bus stop or a train station, thinking to yourself, I wish I knew just how far off the train or the bus is, well, you can now answer this question on the smartphone travel apps. The information hasn't been available for many regional services. It has been in metropolitan areas, but now a local company has got the gig to make it available to you here in our bus and rail networks. Mark Wood is General Manager of Fortel. And Mark, thanks very much for joining us.
No problem, Phil.
Good on you. Smart thinking. This is what we want.
Yeah, we're very fortunate that the New South Wales Government, Transport for New South Wales and New South Wales Trains gave us the opportunity as a local company to provide these services specifically for the regional areas to start off with, given the focus in the past of trying to move things to bigger centres. So that's been extremely fortunate. And the support we've got from those guys has been very good.
Well, don't talk yourself down. You must be pretty clever getting this kind of technology to work. Can you explain how it does work? I imagine it uses GPS, but it's more complex than that.
Yeah, it certainly is, Paul. We not only take the GPS inputs from all of the trains and buses and coaches and people and vehicles themselves, we also take track infrastructure where it's available, so the actual physical track detection themselves, and aggregate all of that information together and then project forward for our passengers as to how well service is tracking what they would expect on their piece of paper or now on their smartphone apps as provided by Transport for New South Wales.
And I can imagine in the case of rail that it's relatively easy to do that. You go, it's here, it's going this fast, and it's headed for there. You can kind of work out how long it's going to take to get there. But in the case of a bus, it's much more complicated, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. Trains certainly have their complications in that when it's between 2 points and gets stuck, track infrastructure often doesn't give you any update facility. So the addition of GPS into that does provide prediction going forward so we can see when things are stuck. But yeah, buses are certainly a little more complex. However, they still do travel along the same paths and same routes consistently. So the predictions are fairly straightforward there also.
So you have to be able to cope with unexpected, someone stops in front of you to park, the light goes red. How do you... See, in the case of travelling on roads, as anyone listening to us would know, it's not how far you're going. It can take you 5 minutes to get from here to Waratah, or it can take you half an hour, depending on the traffic lights and what's going on with traffic. So how do you feed that into speeding up how do you figure out a bus?
Yeah, it sure can, Paul, and traffic is unpredictable, and especially if there are incidents on the road. There are ways of putting that incident information in and taking that into your calculation. However, the most accurate information is up to date at that point in time, and if we're stopped, we can recalculate the prediction based on where we're stopped and knowing the average speeds up ahead. If it is, for instance, as we were talking before in regards to trains, if there are speed restrictions on the track or if there are roadworks, you can take all of that information into account and provide a little bit better prediction than what you would ordinarily have.
So, as I understand it, with buses and trains, you've been able to do this in metropolitan areas, namely Sydney, for a while. Have you got the gig to provide the information to us in the Newcastle and Lower Hunter area?
Yeah, we actually specifically provide the information in the regional areas. The Sydney areas were done by the internal government agency that was already doing their own tracking of services. So our focus has been in the regional areas, because in the past the regional areas have been the poor cousin to the cities as far as up-to-date information, especially for passengers, are concerned. So one of the additional things that we do with our software is also provide on-platform information and outputs for buses and coaches and trains where they all meet out in the regional areas, and Newcastle being one of those. It allows us to give that full picture to our travelling customers out in the regions.
Okay, well, it's good stuff. Is this it for you? I mean, you'll provide this. The app is available for us to download. You provide the information. Do you now go, okay, what's my next project? I'll turn around and go, we'll move in this direction, or we'll try and sell this further afield. What happens next?
Yeah, we certainly do. We've got a number of projects in the transport environment on the go right now that looks at expanding the detailed information, both from a control sense to get services to move around closer to timetables, but also in the passenger information space in other states and around the country, and also overseas. We have contacts over in Kenya and Chile as well. So
Kenya and Chile, okay.
Yeah. So the passenger and tracking information is only a small component of what we do in our software development environment.
How does your stuff help controlling them and making them go better to timetable? Yeah,
well, we provide the control system software here in Newcastle that one of the control centres used for transport for New South Wales, and that improvement in efficiency of delivery of information both to the train and the infrastructure to the track allows those trains to move through the tracks in a more efficient manner.
Okay. It sounds like a fascinating area you work in, and exactly the kind of area that should be attracting a lot of attention, because it's smart, it's technological, it's marketable elsewhere. Hopefully you can export it and bring a bit more money into the local region.
Yeah, we certainly do, and our focus is to try and grow as much at home as possible. And as was mentioned in the article, everything we do is based out of Newcastle from a software development perspective that supports not only the region here but also all the other regional areas around Australia. So it's extremely fortunate that we do get the support and we can compete with those offshore entities.
Good on you, Mark. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thanks, Paul.
Mark Wood is General Manager of Fortel, now providing tracking systems so that they feed to the app on your phone, tell you when your train or bus is going to arrive in regional areas like us. Now it's